We're good to go. It is Saturday. It is the first weekend of the month of June. And boy, what that means for most of us is half of the year is already behind us. And we're so excited today to be able to spend some time with Dr. John Edwards. And I think, especially since I just had a birthday yesterday, everybody that I asked this question, would you agree nothing is more important than living longer, healthier? In the chat room, what do you think everybody says? Everybody says, absolutely, it is priceless, because I think you'll agree, no matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter if you're not healthy, if you do not have a better quality of life. Now, we've got lots of new people on the call who are part of our Xango by Zija family. So I'll do a quick introduction of who I am. My name is Sandy Cohen, and we have been a part of the Xango family since the day it started, which is almost 15 years ago. And we are blessed now to have partnered with Zija International, many of you may not know, which was directly across the street from the Xango corporate offices. And now I can tell you this, the excitement is just like a startup, but without all the risks of startups, because, let me find my notes. I was talking to somebody yesterday who is a consultant to the industry, and it's really interesting what he said. He said he did his research, and out of the 350 companies in our network marketing profession that launched within the last 5 years, 350 companies launching. Can anybody guess how many are still in business today? Some just hanging by their fingernails. But out of those 350, guess how many are still in business today? You want to know the answer? I'm hoping you want to know the answer. The answer is only 7 companies out of 350. So if you're going to bet your reputation on your future for you and your family, would you bet on a startup knowing, I'm not a mathematician, maybe somebody else is, but out of 350 companies, if only 7 are still breathing and they're not in the MLM graveyard, would you want to be a part of that statistic? So that's why Eddie and I are so excited to be a part of this partnership between, now think about it, Dr. Edwards is going to go through this in detail, the 2 most powerful botanicals on the planet, both category creators, and we have a new story to tell. So we're really very excited, because I don't know about you, but, with my birthday yesterday, of course, nobody believes I'm as old as I am. And I initially was going to take off the year of my birthday on Facebook, and I thought I did. And I looked this morning, and it was still there, because most people do not realize that, like our kids tell us, Mom, Dad, you're doing things that you did, 30 years ago, as if you're still 30 years younger. But there is something to say about aging gracefully. And if you want to live longer, healthier, you are definitely in the right place at the right time. So it's going to be my honor to introduce a friend, actually a longtime friend. I hear noise, Dr. Edwards, so you might be moving around a little bit. But anyway, Dr. John Edwards. And now John is a very interesting, talented young man. Besides being very young and very fit, he actually attended Morehouse University, which is in one of my favorite places, Atlanta, Georgia. And he did his undergraduate studies there. And then he went to the University of West Indies Medical School at the Trinidad Tobago campus, and was there on a full academic scholarship. So, and earned 2 doctorates. Think about this. We've got Dr. Joshua Plant, who graduated Harvard Medical School, #1 in his class. And then we've got now Dr. Edwards, who's the Mangosteen king, who also was on a full academic scholarship. And his studies there were not your typical studies. He actually went to school an extra year, 5 years, in what's equivalent to the London medical degree in England, which is equivalent to an MD degree here in the U.S. And Dr. Edwards was introduced to the mangosteen fruit with Xango when we launched back in 2002, and he began studying the mangosteen's enormous history that dates back to the days of the Ming Dynasty. And he has become a recognized expert and sought-after lecturer on the power of mangosteen and our magical supercharged antioxidants called xanthons, and being asked to speak all over the world. And I love his passion and his mission to make a difference in the world. And he has also been a part of the natural health revolution, which is what we are all doing. But he has a mantra that he has lived by for as many years as he has been an adult. And he says, if you can dream it, you can do it. So it's my kind of thinking. So Dr. Edwards, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can initially start with what is the problem, and then we will obviously be so delighted to hear about the solution. So over to you, Dr. Edwards.
And so I ask you, what is the price of a life? I also ask you, what are you doing on a daily basis to tip the scales of health in your favor? I'm going to repeat that because it's a very important question. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis to tip the scales of health in your favor? Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a problem out there, and especially as a doctor looking at what we see currently in the health arena, we have large problems in our health care. There are areas where we're really great, like emergency medicine that I often mention and speak about, and there are other areas where we're ranked 72nd in the world according to some of the challenges that we face. So we're not good in everything. And that's why it would behoove everybody on the call to look for ways, any way, that you can help to tip the scales of health in your favor. And that's why I started with that. And supplementing is one such way. And what we're going to share with you today is a powerful and amazing marriage between two superfruits that allow you to do just that. And if you're using them on a day-to-day basis, consistently over time, not a lot to ask, consistently over time, then you're going to notice some amazing changes in your health. The body is an amazing creation, part of an exquisite design. The body has the amazing ability to heal itself once given the correct raw material. And we know that these fruits are just that, raw material. They're natural, they're safe, they're efficacious, they can get into the body. Before I begin, I just want to say one thing, and that is that we do not make any health claims, income claims. We are very careful here with this company to represent products without making such claims. So I just want to put that disclaimer out right up front. These are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or mitigate any illness. This is something simply that you're going to use as adjunctive therapy. Both of these botanicals, powerful botanicals, adjunctive therapy to tip the scales of favor in your health. And that's what this call is all about. That's as far as I'm going to go on that. So we really want you to be clear on that. These are natural, they're safe, they're efficacious, and we're not making claims in that sense. We're just turning you on to something that you can add on to what you're doing with your doctor, whatever that is, because it doesn't clash with medications, thank God. And I'm going to get into that. That's beautiful. That should have everybody excited on the call right now. The fact that you can use these two botanicals and tip those scales in your favor. So having said that, we have a serious problem, and we have to start looking for solutions. And I think this Mangosteen-Moringa marriage is definitely the solution. But before we get into that, let's look at some of these problems. Let's look at what we see here in the arena that is challenging the health arena currently. If you look on the slide, you will see that it says clearly at the top, the average cost of a hospital stay is about $1,700. That's just average cost. So if you go in the hospital any at all, you're looking at $1,700, and that's per day. Now let's look at what happens if you spend 5 days in the hospital. You're looking at $8,500. 5 days. This stuff gets expensive. So what am I saying? Your health is extremely valuable. What else am I saying? It is costly, very costly, and it starts to become very expensive if you're not taking care of yourself. And so you cannot wait for some government or some bailout to come and bail you out when you already have opportunities like this that you're looking at right now today that can help you tip those scales in your favor and keep you on the positive side of the lifestyle curve, which will avoid landing you in the hospital later down the road. Let's look at the next slide. Are you dying to live, or are you living to die? I said this last week. Are you dying to live your best life, your best self, or are you just living, waiting to die? In essence, existing. That is a question that's very powerful, and I think that's something we all have to ask ourselves. Nobody wants to exist. We all want to live longer, and we all want to live well. It's all about quality of life and how healthy you are, especially coming into your latter years and to your retirement. You don't want to be in your retirement sitting in a wheelchair and not being able to enjoy yourself after you've spent 50 years building an income, and now you want to be able to enjoy it. So what good is all the money in the world if you don't have the health to enjoy it? I said that last week. Now let's look at a book that I think is pretty interesting. It's called The Cost of Being Sick, and it's a very powerful book by Nicholas J. Webb. Something I would recommend that everybody get their hands on if you have a chance. Then you'll start to realize how valuable your health is and how priceless it is. And that's why Sandy started with that. It's priceless because you cannot put a price tag on that. None of us on this call can put a price tag on our life. And it's very costly when you start looking at health care costs and what it costs an individual as well as a family of four when they get sick. And that is something I think if you look at this, I just want to mention 23% of just about all Americans have to keep on working. That's after they finish their years. Another 30% of Americans depend on some charity, and 45% of Americans depend on their children for financial support. Only 2% of Americans fund their own retirement, at about $210,000. So it's expensive. It's very expensive. And these costs in health become extremely serious when you start to get up into your latter years. And I'm going to show you some more slides in a minute that chronicle that. We're also looking at spending on the government side $351 billion in heart attacks and stroke. That's just two entities. $351 billion it costs the government, according to Mr. Webb's book. One death every 33 seconds. So every 33 seconds in this country, especially here in America, one person will die from a heart attack or stroke. You're looking at another 1 in 6 in pain issues, chronic pain, chronic problem in the country right now, and indeed in the world. 1 in 9 people looking at, especially women, looking at breast cancer. Used to be 1 in 11. And then we're looking at other costs somewhere around $950,000 a year. That's right, $950,000 a year. We're looking at with just issues regarding the heart attack, stroke realm. That's the total figure. Okay? Now, when you look at this other issue that I want to bring up, we see that certain people are literally checking out in large numbers. Close to 295 people die daily from this heart attack and stroke group. So that's, think about 295 people going up in a jet plane every single day and crashing. That's the kind of toll that it's taking on the government. 295 people in a plane going up. That's a jumbo jet full, crashing every day for the year. Folks, this is a lot of carnage. And so we have got to do everything in our power, according to this book, to start to keep the cost of health down because it's very costly to be sick. So what am I saying? You want to start thinking along this vein now so that you don't become a statistic in Mr. Webb's book. And you're not looking at the cost of getting sick. You're actually looking at how can I do small things today and use these botanicals to keep myself away from this type of picture. So having said that, I just think we need to pay attention to our health more. We often don't value it until we lose it. And that's something we need to go on into the next slide. I want to look at these actual costs when you break them down. 5 key healthcare cost factors to ask yourself. So look at these questions. Who will care for you? Some 38% of all pre-retirees said that they're going to have to care for a family member with a chronic illness and have to retire early just to do that. So it already starts wreaking a toll on the family when you have to leave and retire early just to take care of your relatives. Look at women. Are women prepared to pay more? Since women on average live 2 to 3 years longer than men, they will need to save more for health care. So women out there, you definitely need to save some more money because you generally tend to outlive the men. And so I hope all the ladies listening are doing everything in their power because you tend to hang around longer. Your mate dies and you live on, and that means you have to keep on increasing your income because you're still living. So even living has a cost. How long will you live? That's another question. According to the statistics, assuming you live to age 65, there's a 50% chance that you will live up to the age of 90 if you're a woman. And for men, that's about 87. And 94 if you're a surviving spouse of either gender. So, folks, if you're going to live really long, you have to have money put away to allow you to continue to live at that standard for those longer years. Does your retirement income plan factor into the healthcare inflation? Because healthcare inflation costs are always rising. Does your income match that? It says here, if you look on the chart, it says healthcare inflation outpaced the general rate of inflation by 4.5% just last year alone. So this thing is just skyrocketing, folks. We've got to find ways to keep that down. Can you keep your own position in your retirement? Will you be able to afford to do that? Some 88% of people have a regular place that they get their medical care, meaning somewhere they're comfortable with, have known and have used for quite some time. And 25% of all retirees do not relocate, meaning they will not move to the East Coast or change from the West Coast to some other location, simply because they want to be close to this medical center for which they've become accustomed to. So this becomes a big factor later on in your life, and that's what that chart is showing you. So healthcare costs and healthcare can actually keep you restricted from where you would otherwise retire, because you have to stay in a state where you have access to those benefits. Now, here's a nice little chart that's funny. Do my medical benefits cover the cost of being sick? Basically what they're saying here is, she's cracking a joke. She's saying, do my medical benefits cover being sick of the rising medical health care costs? So we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, folks. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we're looking for ways to avoid that, and supplementing is one such way to do it. If you look at the Milliman Medical Index, and this chart breaks down, when you look at this chart, it is looking at the annual medical costs for a family of 4 in the United States to live, and the cost that it's going to cost them annually to survive. And if you look at the chart starting from 2012, you'll see that that cost was around $20,728. It had increased by the year 2013. You're looking at about $22,030. Okay, a cost for a family of 4. Then when you look on at 2014, you see $23,215. This thing is just continuing to increase year after year. Then you get to 28. When you look at 2015, you're seeing $24,671. And then in the last bar graph on the corner, you see 2016. That's last year. And for the cost for a family of 4, $25,826. Folks, that's a lot of money to spend on annual costs for a family of 4. So you really have to start looking for solutions to the problem, and that's why we're pointing out the problem, because a lot of us are not aware of all these statistics, which is why I'm going through them. If you look at the next chart, you'll see here, most who had problems paying medical bills while insured said that cost sharing was much more than they could afford. So when you look at all these families, if you look at these 3 graphs right here, we're going to break it down really quickly. I got to get a move on. You'll see that in the top one, 75% of individuals in co-pays, deductibles, and co-insurance said that it was much more than they could afford. 75%. Next, down one below that, 32% received care from an out-of-network provider, and an insurance would not cover or would only cover a portion of their bill. That's serious. So 32% fell into that category. They either would not cover it at all, or they only covered a portion of the bill, leaving them to suffer with the remainder bill themselves. Then in the bottom chart, if you look at 26% submitted a claim to an insurance company, but the claim was denied. So that's another challenge we have with the current healthcare system. So your claims don't often even get covered, even if you submit them. These are really serious problems that we face. And moving right along quickly into the next chart, you will see that on figure 4, people with chronic conditions account for 80% of national health care. Chronic. So if you have a chronic illness of any kind, you're looking at 84% of the national health care dollar and a 99% on Medicaid spending. So it costs you a lot more if you have chronic illness. And the more illnesses you have, the more expensive it becomes. I'm not going to belabor you with all the details for each year, but if you look in the blue group, that blue chart is a percentage of non-institutionalized people. So people who are pretty healthy may have equal to 1 or less chronic conditions, meaning you're pretty healthy. You might just have 1 illness. In the red chart, you're looking at the percentage of spending in people with chronic conditions. And when you look at both charts, you see that on all charts, the red chart by far exceeds that of the healthy individual. So those in red have chronic disease, so it's costly, way more costly for you to be sick than it is for you to minimize your diseases. And that's why you're going to supplement, so that you stay in the blue realm and you're not up there at 84% total health care costs, 84% versus 50% for those who are healthy. Then you look at uninsured people with chronic illness, 73% versus 33%. And then when you look in the private insurance, those who have the money and can afford private insurance, chronic illness individuals, 78% versus only 48% for those with one chronic illness or less. And then Medicaid, same thing. The cost for people with chronic illness, 97%, 79% versus 40%. And then finally, when you look at Medicare, similar situation. Those who have chronic illness, 99% of spending versus 78%. So it's very expensive, folks. Health and wellness is at a serious challenge, and we are all under attack. When you look at the next slide, some 6 of the top causes of death are directly linked to diet. And I'm going to talk about diet in a little bit. So 6 out of our top problems come directly from the diet that we take, the choices that we make. 70% of the world's population has at least one prescription drug medication. 70% of the world's population, at least one drug prescription. 2 to 3% of the world's population is overweight. That's pretty serious. And then 3 to 4 pounds, the amount of sugar, the average sugar that a person consumes per day, 3 to 4 pounds of sugar. And that's insane. All these people that like Red Bull, Monster, Rockstar, vitamin water, Red Bull, 27 grams of sugar, 27 in one can. Okay, they say if you drink Red Bull, you might turn into a bull. Monster, 54 grams. So if you drink Monster, I guess you turn into a monster. If you drink Rockstar, 31 grams of sugar, I guess you turn into a rock. What happens if you drink vitamin water? 31 grams of sugar. I guess you become a vitamin. Crazy. We have got to stay away from this sugar binge that we're currently on. 85% of the world's population does not meet the minimum amount of exercise per week. This is a challenge even for children. High schools now don't have PE programs. A lot of physical education programs are cut from schools because of cost. And so we're having a new generation of kids that don't exercise and are not forced to exercise in the school program. And those are cut from the curriculum because of costs. Children are growing up obese, and they're sitting on the couch playing video games, and they're not exercising anymore. This is a serious issue, and we're seeing it in the hospital ever so more often now because of this challenge. So our kids are sedentary, and they're not exercising. And according to this, we're saying 85% of the world's population is not getting the required exercise per week. This is a serious problem, and it catches up with chronic illness later on. $3,252 is the cost spent per household in the healthcare sector to address weight-related challenges. So weight is a big issue. Weight is perhaps the single greatest challenge to the healthcare situation right now globally because of all the weight gain and obesity that currently plagues the planet. And that is costly. As you see there, $3,000 per household in healthcare spent on that alone. And then finally, $6 trillion is the estimated size of the food industry. So this diet thing affects the industry. We got $6 trillion spent on food, making it the largest industry in the world. So this food challenge is major globally and impacts health because we make poor food choices. Now let's look at what the revolution has to offer. Here at Zija, we often say that we welcome you to the natural health revolution. What do we mean by that? We mean that we're looking for natural substances that have the ability to come into your body and impact your life, provided you're doing other small things like diet, exercise, and you should be doing these things, avoiding excessive red meat, getting enough sleep, and getting enough hydration. I cannot overemphasize that. You cannot expect some miraculous supplement to just do all of the work for you. You still have to live a reasonable lifestyle, and those become the backbone and bedrock of solid health. So we want to welcome you to the natural health revolution, and we see this company, especially this partnership between Zija and Xango, as a total answer and solution to all of the problems I just outlined. That's why we went through that, because otherwise it doesn't mean anything to you. You won't see the value in supplementing. And in today's world, it is obligatory. It is no longer optional. You have to supplement in order to compensate for and fill in the gaps in the areas where medicine is not strong. And we would encourage everybody, according to the Journal of the American Medical Association 2003, they themselves recommend that every person in America and indeed worldwide should be looking at a supplement because of the challenges with the air, water, and unless you're living in the North Pole or South Pole, folks, the world is just contaminated. And we wreaked a lot of havoc through the Industrial Revolution, and now the foods and the soils are depleted, and the foods coming from those soils are therefore depleted, and the air we breathe is contaminated, and the water tables, we can go on and on with this, okay, filled with coliforms, E. coli, bacteria, pseudomonas, whole entities and concerns where lots of the nation's water supplies are concerned. So we're not even getting clean water, folks, even in the developed world, let alone the third world countries. This is serious, and it impacts our health on a day-to-day basis because water is a very, very critical commodity. So we want to join you, and we want to welcome you over here to this health revolution, and we want you to join us and become a part of this solution so that we can solve these problems that I'm talking about. And what do we see playing the most key role in all of this? These two superfruits, and I'm going to get into them right now, the Mangosteen, which comes from Southeast Asia, and Moringa oleifera, an amazing plant very nutrient dense, perhaps the most nutrient dense plant on the planet. And for those of you who have a phone, you can Google it, or you can even ask Siri, what is the most nutrient dense plant on the planet? And it will tell you right off the top, Moringa oleifera. So we're not making this stuff up. It is rich in nutrients and very nutrient dense, and it's one of the reasons we really put it at the center of the focus of our health, especially in this natural health revolution. But when you combine mangosteen to moringa, you have a marriage made in heaven, and you have two powerful botanicals here on earth that deliver that directly into your bloodstream. And that's why you're going to consume them. Okay, these are powerful. And I want to get into each one. I'm going to talk, most of you know that I'm an expert on mangosteen, but I look at all antioxidants, all of them, and study them intimately, because people always want to know a contrast and comparison between mangosteen versus goji, noni, acai, you name it. I've looked at it. So we look at all antioxidants, but my focus has been mangosteen for over a decade. And I want to talk about this fruit now because it's very powerful. And then we'll talk about moringa, and we're going to look at what's in them and what causes them to have these benefits, and why should you be looking at it or be interested in it, whoever turned you on to this call today. Somebody shared this call with you. Somebody turned you on to this because they want you to become part of something bigger than yourself, and they want you to see what they've seen with very special and unique botanicals that you cannot otherwise get access to. These are not easy to get your hands on. And so I want you to prize them and realize the value of them, because they're coming to you from the rainforest belts of the world, and they're also coming to you all the way from the Himalayan mountains at 5,000 feet elevation and greater. That's not something to take for granted, because you can't go outside and pick it in your backyard. You just can't. So it means that if these companies don't exist, you cannot drink these botanicals. It's serious. And that's why you want to take it seriously and take advantage of the fact that these two companies have merged and now brings this right into your living room from the Himalayan mountains and from the rainforest belts of the world. Because these are very difficult plants to manipulate, and they're very difficult plants to harvest, bring to market, process, and ship out to you for you to touch your credit card, plug an order, and have it float right into your living room from the Himalayan mountains and from the deepest parts of the rainforest in the Amazon. That's what you're drinking. And so you're lucky. You're fortunate to be able to get this, let alone fail to act on it once hearing the information. And that is the whole point of this call. Because what good is all the preaching in the world if you don't take action? If you fail to do what Nike says, which is what? Just do it. You have to take an action after hearing information. Otherwise, the information is useless. So having said that, I just want to touch on mangosteen very quickly. Here, when you look at this fruit, you'll see that it has a purple exterior, very beautiful, around what they call the pericarp or rind. This pericarp or rind houses something called xanthones, Xanthones, xanthones. These are the hallmark. These are the key ingredients. They're not the only ingredients, but they're the key ingredients that the scientists are looking at, because we see that right now those particular ingredients are delivering the bulk of the health challenges, overcoming the health challenges that you will see when you drink it. So when you look there, if you look at that first chart, come over to the left, over to the right side, you'll see a list of some of the things that are in mangosteen. The xanthone that I just talked about is at the top of the list, and there are about 6 to 8 of them that are being studied extensively. We're now up to about close to 70 plus, going on 90 xanthones that have been found and elucidated. We're figuring out which ones do what, and more work is going on that globally all around the world. Underneath that, you see something called flavonoids, okay? These are amazing biochemical molecules also being looked at because they have very powerful antioxidant capacity, and they belong to the polyphenol group, which I will talk about later, something like green tea. And those flavonoids are very powerful and also exist in the fruit and help with some of the benefits in the antioxidant arena. Then there's anthocyanins, and this group is a similar polyphenol backbone that's also in the fruit and helps the fruit to deliver in the areas of antioxidant ability. And what do we mean by that? It is able to mop up free radicals in your body and slow down deleterious processes. I repeat, it is able to mop up free radicals in the body and slow down deleterious processes such as aging. And that's what aging is. So it retards it. We can't stop aging, but we can slow it down with these types of molecules. And very few botanicals on Earth have them in there. Very few. As a matter of fact, this is one of the few, and it is the most concentrated of any of them seen out there where this particular group is concerned. Catechins are also in mangosteen. They don't often get mentioned, but they're in there. And that is also there on the list. And then it's also loaded with a lot of vitamins. The B1 group, the B2 group, vitamin C for energy, that's also in there. And then amino acids are also in the fruit as well. So mangosteen is very diverse. It covers a wide array of health issues. But those are the key ingredients. I don't have time to get into all the details of everything else that's in it. But those are the key ingredients that you're going to drink in once you take the fruit in liquid form. The center has a seed that's segmented, it's white. There are no xanthones in that portion. It tastes great, and it's served as a delicacy in Thailand, Malaysia, Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam, Brazil, the French islands of the Caribbean, Guadeloupe and Martinique, where it grows abundantly. The French use it as a tonic for energy. So it's not going to shock you. You're going to get energy when you drink this. All right? Forget the energy drinks. That's why I went through them. Red Bull, Monster. You don't look at that because it's highly stacked with caffeine, and you end up with jitters and shakes when you're done. Here you're drinking something controlled. It's natural. It goes into the blood, and it has effects for up to 6 to 7 hours. 6 to 7 hours without a crash. That is blissful in this arena when we're competing with all these sugar drinks that are filled with fillers and artificial flavoring and preservatives. Who wants that when you can get a natural thing from the Amazon forest that lifts you up in energy for 5 to close to, in some people, 8 hours, depending on the type of metabolism that you have, on one dose? That's exciting. 8 hours of energy with no crash. Okay, so that's what's possible. You can eat the white part of the delicacy in some of these countries, but you don't get any medicinal value from that. So you have to have it prepared. I repeat, it has to be prepared by a company like Xango and Zija in order for you to enjoy these xanthones, because they get denatured by heat. If you try to boil it and make tea from it, you will knock out a lot of the natural ingredients when you heat it up, or if you take it down too low in temperature, you can also denature it. It's very specific. From 0 degrees C to 115 degrees C, it is stable. That's a wide range of stability. Very few things on earth can offer that type of stability. And that's why you want it in your body, folks. That's why you're drinking this. It stabilizes the DNA. It stabilizes it at the cell level between 0 degrees C and 115 degrees C. That's incredible. Few things on earth can withstand those extremes of temperature and still function. Okay, that's one of the impressive components of the plant, and that's why you want to drink the plant in on a day-to-day basis to help protect your DNA and to help protect your body. Now, let's look a little bit on the side of the Moringa. Okay, I want to talk about Moringa quite a bit because it's an amazing plant, and some countries in the third world use Moringa to replace rice and grain because it's a lot cheaper. It's so nutrient dense that here they can just grow the plant and give it to the people and replace the costs that come from the United Health Organization and UNO and others. It allows them to get the same nutrient density out of the plant and save them having to buy rice grain. So when we look at this, this is a plant. It comes on a tree called the Mercola tree. Moringa oleifera is a native tree to the Himalayas, like I told you. It also grows in Asia, Africa, Pakistan, and India. Ayurveda knows it very well. It's a highly prized fruit in Ayurveda, the tree. And also, it is something that is very highly used in the countries of Senegal and the Philippines. These people know it very well. They grow up on it. People in the Philippines know this plant extremely well. People in some of the Asian countries, but in particular, India, in Ayurvedic medicine, highly revere the Moringa oleifera. One of the active ingredients is an antioxidant similar to that of the polyphenols found in mangosteen. This tree is known as the benzoyl tree because of an oil that it liberates in the seeds. So the seeds of the plant liberates an oil that some of you are familiar with. It's called benzoyl. And this is one of the most potent oils that you can consume into the body, offering phospholipid protection inside the body. They sometimes call it the drumstick tree based on its physical appearance. It is extremely nutrient dense. Every part of this wonderful botanical is stacked with nutrients. Every part. The seeds, the pods, the leaves, the bark. There's nothing in this tree that is wasted. And that's another reason you want to consume it, because all of its parts carry different health benefits, which I will also mention in a little while. So it's extremely nutrient dense, and a lot of third-party research shows it to be extremely effective against inflammation, pain, and even tumor research. I'm going to repeat that. Inflammation. So anything with inflammation, anything with itis, right? If you have any illness that ends in an itis, you need to be looking at Moringa oleifera. Okay, anything, right? Arthritis, any itis, you need to take a good look at this. So it's a powerful anti-inflammatory. It blocks pain and the COX-2 enzyme. It's a big deal in the pharmaceutical world. I'll touch on this very quickly. Lots of the drugs, just about every single one of them for pain that we take in America, basically block this same enzyme called COX-2. And this thing does the same thing in nature, but it doesn't have side effects. This is huge. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, this pain industry. No one wants pain. And we're willing to take powerful drugs to deal with this challenge. And here we have a natural botanical that is helping to take out the COX-2 enzyme selectively and leave the other COX enzyme alone. And that is what the drugs do, but they have terrible side effects. So here's the value and why you want to look at this. I'm pointing this out because it's a great alternative or an adjunct to what you're already doing for pain. And lots of the world right now is looking for solutions and answers to pain. And it's costing celebrities their lives. Many of you know this. Lots of celebrities dying from pain management, seeking to get relief, becoming addicted to the pain drugs, and eventually what? Overdosing. So this is an excellent thing for even that realm of folk to look at. And for those of you challenged with pain, this is something you want to add on to what you're doing. It is amazing what we're seeing in the clinic with that. So the final thing is the tumor men. This one blew me away. Tumors even, okay? Lots of third-party research. I'll cite one of them a little bit later, where tumors are concerned with Moringa, and it also is powerful on weight loss issues. It regulates the basal metabolic rate at the thyroid level and has an ability to knock off weight in a controlled fashion, gradually, and that's what you want. That's what you want. No one wants a crash diet where they swing from a high weight straight to a low weight and back. Matter of fact, this can strain the heart and lead to early death. So some people go through yo-yo diets out there, and that's why this is very crucial. This is another reason to take a really good look at Moringa oleifera. So I hope I've shown you just from those two highlights how valuable these two plants are, because they have the ability to slow down inflammation in the body, and they also have the ability to block pain, both of them. And then they also have this amazing ability to even play in the tumor realm, and that should excite everybody, because not too many things on earth can offer that without side effects. Let's look at Moringa as far as what's in the nutrient side of it. 10 times the vitamin A of carrots, all right? 1 to 2 times the vitamin C of oranges, 17 times the calcium of milk. Look at this one, 15 times the potassium in banana. That's crucial. Potassium is vital in your body, even for your heart rate and heartbeat and membrane function. You need that. 25 times the iron in spinach. It is beating out Popeye, folks. 25 times the iron in spinach. 9 times the protein of yogurt. This is a nutrient-dense plant, and I don't think a lot of people realize how powerful this plant really is. It's difficult to manipulate. I don't advise you to go out and try and grow a tree. I told you these plants are very unique. They need very, very high elevation, and they also need rainforest type. In the case of mangosteen, rainforest type climate, and the soils have to be specific, and it has to rain for 6 months nonstop in the case of mangosteen. Monsoon rains like in India, 6 months nonstop. Plus, you're going to wait 5 to 7 years for it to ripen. I don't think you have time to do this. So do you see how vital it is that you get it from these two companies? Because you cannot grow it yourself, pick it, harvest it, sit around 5 to 7 years, wait for it to ripen. You just don't have that kind of time. And can you imagine the world demand for these fruits right now? Unbelievable. We have up to a 7 to 10 year supply in advance of the current world demand. So we're not going to run out anytime soon, if you're thinking that. I said that because I knew some people probably, well, how are we going to keep up with this demand? They horticulture it, put it back into the ground, and that whole process is regulated to FDA standards. So that you don't have to worry about that. Quality control is of the highest essence with these companies, and I'm going to talk about that, especially on the Zija side with Pharmatech and what they do to ensure certification. High quality. And we have doctors and PhDs looking it over and Harvard-trained physicians doing this all for you to take advantage of. So it's incredible. So quality control is not an issue. Okay, and I just wanted to mention that. I'll get more into that a little bit later. So this is an amazing marriage, this marriage between mangosteen and moringa. Powerful, never before been seen, unique in the whole marketplace. It's going to tip the MLM industry on its head. I repeat, it is going to tip the MLM industry on its head. And that is the opportunity that exists for you listening to this. What good is me telling you all this if you don't understand why it's important? I told you how rare it is, how unique it is, how it doesn't have side effects, how all those xanthones, catechins, polyphenols, and all these different ingredients help with your health, and they're unique only to these botanicals, and you cannot get them. But here, thanks to this merger, you can touch your credit card, place an order, and lift the moringa out of the Himalayas into your own living room, and lift the mangosteen out of the rainforest belts of the world from Southeast Asia and bring it into your living room. Folks, that's incredible. And I hope everybody takes advantage of this knowledge. Because, again, if you have never heard of it before today, and many of you probably haven't, this is something that is revolutionary and is a breakthrough, not only from a scientific angle for doctors like myself looking at it, but also from the angle of just knowing that these plants have 400-plus years of history in the Southeast Asian basin and Himalayan areas of the world, but yet our cultures in the West are late to this party. So what am I saying? We are late to the party, folks. People have been drinking this thing for 400 years. Nobody died yet. Okay? Here in the West, we take a tablet. We expect miraculous pills from Pfizer or Merck to spin around 40 years of diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, gout, whatever it is, and not somehow, and do it overnight. We expect that. We expect to pop a tablet and fix the problem overnight. Here are natural botanicals that people in the Southeast Asian basin and in the Himalayas use for over 400-plus years. Never killed a soul. We can't say that for the drugs that we're using. So this is something that we need to look at seriously, especially when we're facing the challenges that we see from the CDC and the NIH in Washington. This is serious. And that's why I don't take it as a joke. And that's why I dedicated my life to it and research it. Because we realize now that here are botanicals playing on that level, and people are looking for solutions. No one wants to be sick. No one wants pain. No one wants chronic inflammation, arthritis, gout, lupus, all these autoimmune diseases. And here are natural botanicals playing on that level in third-party research from all around the world that has nothing to do with Xango or Zija. Independent studies from all around the world. And when I heard that, I had to take it seriously and start looking at it and put my father in front of it and saw for myself, like you will, when you start to share it with your circle of influence, you will become a believer. So you don't have to take my word for it. I'm not expecting you to come on this call, listen to me, and immediately believe everything I'm telling you. But do give me some credit, because here I go. I've been doing this for 10 years in over 56 countries, and we are yet to see a single complaint or challenge in any country. And we cannot say that for the pharmaceutical drugs that we're giving out here in America every day, because 100,000 people check out every year on the correct drug with the correct doctor, the correct prescription. 100,000 deaths. So you need this. You need this ASAP. You have to look at this. When 100,000 people are dying for the correct drug and the correct diagnosis, and not, let alone the celebrities and everybody else that suffer, looking for answers to chronic pain. And here we're saying, take a look at something that is doing it. Hasn't killed a soul in 400 years, but we refuse to put our hand out and take it. But we can take a drug that kills 100,000 people every year and not think about it. I don't understand it. This is insanity to me. We have to start looking for alternatives that are delivering on this level. And that's why we're excited to share this with you today. And that is what the Mangosteen and Moringa marriage brings to the table in an area where we don't have answers. And any doctor that can't admit that is either blindfolded or not facing the current challenges that we face here in this arena. And when we understand the challenges and understand that we don't have answers to everything, it would behoove us all to start looking for answers in any form from anywhere, including the Himalayas and the rainforest, when they're delivering like this. And that's why we're all excited, and that's why everybody's talking about these two botanicals. And if you haven't heard it before today, well, you just got a full dose of it, and I hope you act upon the information. Looking further, if you look down at the next slide, I just want to highlight a couple other things that are in the Moringa. 46 powerful antioxidants, 36 anti-inflammatories, 36, that's a lot, in one plant. Omega-3, 6, and 9 fatty acids. Beautiful, that protects your heart. Powerful stuff, everybody knows about those. You should be taking those in. And if you're not, then here's another way to get around that and fill in those gaps. 20 amino acids, including 9 essential amino acids. So all of the essential amino acids that you cannot make in your body and you have to take by diet. Remember, we talked about the deficiencies in the diet. So here again, you get to make that up by drinking this food as well. 90 nutrients, total of 90 different nutrients in one plant. This thing is packed, nutrient dense. And that's why we waste nothing in the Moringa, every single piece. The stem, the seeds, the pod, the leaves, every single part is consumed, and different parts of the world and different countries of the world focus on different aspects of its use, but they don't waste any of it. It is even used to augment breast milk delivery for mothers who are pregnant. So pregnant women should be looking at Moringa. Okay, it augments milk release, and it also helps the pregnant mothers to produce milk. So that's important and exciting. I just wanted to point that that's another benefit that it's used for in malnourished countries where they cannot afford formula and they cannot necessarily afford rice grain. They use this plant in those fashions. So going down to the bottom, you see Moringa is the world's most powerful natural multivitamin and antioxidant on earth. It does not contain just 1 or 2 vitamins or 1 or 2 antioxidants. It actually contains 92 nutrients and 46 types of antioxidants. I just talked about that. Okay? So the closest plant, the next closest one was down at 28 nutrients, just to give you a comparison. So it's out there on its own, folks. These are rare, unique plants that stand out on their own, and that's why we want you to take a good look at it and to bring it into your living room from these rare parts of the world. Moringa oleifera has research to solve it. I talked about the independent research. If you look down below, you'll see that there's one paper there that's highlighting. I just want to read that real quick so you think we're not making this stuff up. If you look at the abstract on that particular study, you will see that Moringa oleifera, native to India, grows in the tropical and subtropical regions of the world. It is commonly known as the drumstick tree or horseradish tree. Okay? It goes on to say Moringa can withstand severe drought as well as frost. So remember I talked about the extremes of temperature. So even if there's no water, or even up at high elevation when you get frost because of the mountains up there, it can still withstand those conditions, and hence it is very, very tough and is very widely distributed around the world. Okay, it is highly nutritious in its value, and a part of the tree is suitable for just about all nutritional and commercial purposes. It's a diverse plant. The leaves are rich in minerals, vitamins, and other phytochemicals. Phyto is Greek for plant. Okay, phyton, phyto. So phytochemicals, chemicals coming from plants, phytochemicals. Okay, the extracts from the leaves are used to treat malnutrition, which I just talked about in the cases of countries like Philippines and Senegal. And we also talked about augmenting breast milk. There it is in the study. That's what I was talking about. Augmenting breast milk in lactating mothers. This is third-party research, not my opinion. All right, I just wanted you to see it for yourself. It is also used as a potential antioxidant and an anti-cancer agent. There it is. So this is exciting. This is exciting, and yet another reason for you to look at it. You always want a whole food versus a synthetic supplement. And what do I mean by that? When you take in the whole fruit like mangosteen and moringa, the actual whole fruit prep, you're always going to get a more superior result than when you're taking in some synthetic form, because all you're getting in those are some isolated or fractionated supplement. They can only take a portion of it. They basically take a lead molecule from each plant in the scientific world, try to make a drug from those lead molecules, but it will never be able to complete with the whole plant. And that's why you want to drink it in the form that we bring it in at Zija and Xango, because you always get more with the whole fruit prep than you do from a drug made from a portion of it or from a lead molecule only in it. And when you look further down, it shows you, it says nature intended for us to consume the food whole, because all of the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and enzymes, okay, are bound together and packaged synergistically to deliver the nutrition to your body. So what is synergy? Synergy is a process whereby 1 + 1 = 6, meaning one ingredient in the plant married to another ingredient in the plant, married to another ingredient in the plant, is greater than either ingredient in the plant. Let me repeat that. So the xanthone plus the catechin plus the flavone added together gives a greater effect to the body than any single one of those by themselves. The catechin alone, the xanthone alone, etc., the flavonoid alone. So when you get the whole fruit, you get the blessing of all, plus you don't denature the enzyme. And that's why you don't want to play with this on your own. You have to have it prepared by the way and the special way that these Zija and Xango companies prepare it, because it's a difficult plant to manipulate. So you always want the whole food over the synthetic. That's just common sense. Also, when you use synthetic, it's not on the slide, but I want to highlight this. When you use a synthetic form of anything, it's man-made and manipulated in a lab, and your body is going to reject it as a foreign substance. It is going to reject it because it's not natural. So when it sees it coming in, it treats it like a drug or any other foreign entity, and you're not going to get the full blessing from it. And that's why synthetic supplements are not encouraged. That's another reason to look at mangosteen and moringa. You don't want that, because your body is going to take in these natural fruits, no barriers are formed, and it's because it's natural, you're getting all of the fruit ingredients active in the bloodstream, and you feel the difference. Your energy goes up right away, and you don't have a crash when you come down off of these plants, unlike caffeine. And that's another reason you want to look at this. So I just wanted to highlight that. Moving right along, if you look at both of these companies, you will notice that on the Zija side, we're really grateful to have an amazing gentleman by the name of Mr. Ken Brailsford. Ken Brailsford has delivered in this industry of this MLM market for many years, powerful companies, Enrich International. Some of you know him as a consultant to Unicity and other great companies, Nature, Sunshine, and many others. He is a pioneer in the industry. He's the father of botanical encapsulation, plant encapsulation, and has won numerous Ernst & Young's awards. As a matter of fact, he won the award in 1994 for Entrepreneur of the Year in his state. So this is a powerful gentleman, lots of money, and able to bring us the powerful labs and the powerful synthetic, the powerful programs that allow us to avoid issues with quality control because of his pocket. So thank goodness for that. You always want to look at the leadership, who is at the helm, who is leading the company, and what kind of financial powerhouse situations exist to ensure that the highest quality of supplements can be made and produced on a consistent and continuing basis. And thank God for Mr. Brailsford. We're really lucky on that. Having mentioned that, if you look further on the next slide, you will see certified pharmaceutical grade products. This is important. Very few supplement companies can actually offer certified pharmaceutical grade products out there. And what is that? Now, lots of companies may have products, but if you look on this, it shows you not every manufacturer is able to actually deliver products that are labeled with the exact same ingredients that are supposedly contained in the package. This is always an issue. So you want to go with a company that has certified pharmaceutical grade labeling, which all of the products of these have, thanks to Mr. Brails for the expertise and expense, because it costs a fortune to develop a pharma tech company that is capable of delivering on this level. So when you look at the manufacturing, you will see it at the highest grade, and it is also offering pharmaceutical grade supplements. So it's competing on the level of drugs that are trusted and used by healthcare professionals themselves. Now, I don't know about you, but I would like to know that if I am taking a supplement, that my own doctor would also want that supplement. And that's the level we're playing at with this field. So because he has a certified pharmaceutical grade posting, he is making supplements that doctors themselves would have no issue using. And that's something the population at large should be excited about. Okay? So these are high-quality brands offering pure ingredients free of what? Filters, additives, contaminants, and guaranteed to contain the ingredients listed on the label. So you don't have to worry about mislabeling and all these problems you have in the food store with companies labeling stuff and it not being in there. When you have the certified pharmaceutical grade, you are rest assured that what is on the label is exactly what is in there and not one thing else. There are no contaminants, etc., and it is considered to be a pharmaceutical grade supplement overall. Pharmatech handles all the production of the Zija products, and I told you around, they are very powerfully put together out there in Leahy in Utah, and that allows us to bring to market the most powerful, high-quality supplements that exist. Class 8 HEPA filtration, powerful. The certification is at the highest standard. They've never failed the test, not even one time. Because in this industry, if you fail the test once, you cannot get your rating back. And so you want to know that you're with a company that has always passed at the highest standard, that has excess and extra filtration powerful systems that ensure that the highest level and grade of quality products are brought to the market. And these people have that. They've never lost it, and they're not going to lose that anytime soon, I can assure you. That facility is really impeccable, and these people show up unannounced. You don't know when they're coming. Okay, they just show up. So it's very easy to fail if you're not on top of your game. And the fact that they have retained that certification should excite everybody on this call. So this marriage between Xango and Zija is powerful. The Xango company needs no explanation. Many of you know those founders. I myself was lucky, fortunate, consider myself fortunate to have been over there in the beginning at November 2002 when it all began. So you have Mr. Brailsford on one side, and then what that company brought to market with its powerful, amazing team, all the years of expertise, all the powerful distributors that are now there, and even the elites that came from Xango, well-trained, well-groomed in this industry. You couldn't want better leadership. When you partner that with Mr. Brailsford's brainchild and Moringa Olefera, and you marry the Mangosteen from the Xango side, and what those founders brought to the market for over 14 plus years in over 43 countries, and add now an additional 56 countries with Zija, this is an incredible marriage. And that's yet another reason when you look at the businesses themselves. I'm talking about the business entities and the leadership that was behind it. It is very powerful. So we're lucky. We're benefiting from both sides of the fence, where Xango brought the Mangosteen and Zija and Mr. Brailsford brought to us Moringa. Thank God for that. Mr. Brailsford was very touched by a documentary that he saw on Moringa, and thank God he had the vision and the foresight to say, you know what, I'm going to do something with this fruit and bring it to the world, because otherwise it would have stayed hidden and secluded in the Himalayan mountains that I talked about. And that's why I started off by saying you need to take action. Because hearing all this is pointless if after all that I've said today, you fail to drink the product, you fail to use the product, you fail to order them, you fail to put them in your body and see what's possible for you. Only you can determine that action by taking action. And it's time for all-out massive action, and it's time for us to start looking for other sources to our problems, especially when we're not getting the results that we currently see here in America. And I've outlined all of those issues from the CDC and the National Institutes of Health in Washington, D.C. Everybody should know this, but as a doctor, I'm only too aware of it. So I hope you're listening to me and that you're going to take action, massive action, all-out massive action after hearing this today. What a worldwide opportunity. You see in the next slide, it's a global, seamless opportunity. I mentioned it earlier. We have an amazing company here, Xango, powered by Zija. It's in over 56-plus countries, something that the baby boomers can take in as well as the millennials. There are no limits to consumption with this product. I mentioned it last week. From the cradle to the grave, everybody should be drinking Mangosteen and Moringa. From the cradle to the grave. The babies need it because they don't have an immune system yet. The elderly need it because they don't have an immune system anymore after 40. Many of you know this. After age 40, your immune system starts dropping off. And for the babies, because they're developing, they don't have it. And so they need substances like these to take a good look at because they're developing in that aspect. So the extremes of age need it, and the millennials as well as the boomers need it. The baby boomers, 1946, 64, are saying to themselves, look, I have watched my parents drop down with a heart attack and stroke at 40 and 50. I do not want that. They're seeing it. They're living it. They're watching them. And they're saying, hey, when I'm 40 and 50, I don't want that to happen to me. What can I do right now on an active basis to ensure that that will not be my lot? And if you're coming from a family like this, where you know you have relatives with all these challenges, and you come from a family with cancer and a family with lupus and a family background with a whole host of challenges, then you need to start right now because you're carrying those genes. I know you understand this. You're carrying those genes. It's just a matter of time before they express themselves. And that's going to be determined by the environment you're around, the diet that you're eating, the lifestyle choices that you're making on a day-to-day basis, and that is why you need to take a good look at supplementation, because you may not be filling in all those areas so well, and in some areas you might have exposure, and that gene is sitting there waiting to be expressed because you inherited it from both your parents. And if they're already suffering and you're looking at them suffering, that's where you're going. That's genetics. You cannot escape this. So if you understand this, you will start right now today to ensure that you are not another statistic from the CDC and the NIH. That's the point. And that's why I preach what I preach, because I don't see, when I look around out there with all the drugs we prescribe and all the things that are going on, I don't see anything that can compete with these types of botanicals coming from the rainforest and from the Himalayas that I see happening here. And with the lab turnaround that we've seen, it's nothing short of impressive. And that should have everybody looking for solutions in areas where we don't have them. And to have a company present in 56 markets with a global opportunity, I mean, a business opportunity that's connected to this, that's insane. It's a no-brainer. There's nothing to think about. Nothing to think about. Two dynamic fruits, the greatest superfruits on earth, powering two businesses that are now present and that you can take advantage of in 56 countries around the world seamlessly and build yourself a future. What good is all the money in the world if you don't have the health to enjoy it? We offer a wide array of products based on the Moringa and the Mangosteen. You can see some of them at the bottom. And we also want to touch lives. If you look at the next slide, the purpose of the human life is to serve and to show compassion, okay, and the will to help others. That's what it's about, folks. It's not just for you to take. It's for you to share in these countries, to build teams in these countries, to touch lives in all these countries. And the fact that the opportunity exists for you to reach into 56 countries and impact health should excite you. So you're not just doing this business to get rich. You're not just doing this business to make some money. You're doing this business to touch lives and to improve health in 56 nations around the world. And if you have both, that's a blessing. I mean, we're offering you Jesus in a bottle. We're offering you Jesus in a bottle. And some of you, if we put Jesus in a bottle and offer it, you still wouldn't drink it. We have to change our mindset. We need a paradigm shift away from disease and sickness. And we have now got to start looking for solutions and answers proactively, as opposed to waiting till we get sick and running to the doctor and expecting a miraculous tablet to turn around all our illnesses. Thank God for the health revolution. Thank God for the natural health revolution that we're in right now. We want you to catch a part of this second wave. It is here. We want you to join us as we reach out to touch those lives. Albert Schweitzer was an amazing man, a medical doctor, missionary, won a Nobel Prize for his work, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, played the organ, was a psychologist, was a theologian, and this man was incredible. Built a hospital in Africa to help reach and help touch others. What are you doing in your life to ensure that you enrich the planet and touch other lives before you die? You're not just doing this for today, you're doing it for generations yet unborn in your lineage. And I hope you understand what that is, because you stepped out of your comfort zone and took an opportunity to step out and do something different with this opportunity. You can then change the financial picture not only of your generation, but of generations yet unborn in your lineage. Folks, let's be like Schweitzer. Let's sacrifice. Let's go out there and make a difference in this world by giving people a gift. And that's why I said Jesus in a bottle, because you're offering them health and wealth. What better gift could you offer somebody? What better gift could you offer? So I hope you catch this wave. This train is pulling out of the station. This train is pulling out of the station. Don't miss the train. Welcome to the natural health revolution. We encourage you to live the life unlimited. We really know that the one thing that matters in this world is value. Value is all that matters. Because again, if this product wasn't bringing value, I wouldn't be on this phone call. Okay? The value of something depends on the hand in which it sits. The value of something depends on the hand in which it sits. What is the value of a basketball in the hands of a Michael Jordan or a Steph Curry or LeBron James? What is the value of a tennis racket in the hands of a Serena Williams? What is the value of an American football in the hands of a Steve Young or a Jerry Rice or a Tom Brady? What is the value of a soccer ball at the feet of Pelé or Lionel Messi or Neymar? Folks, what is the value of a bottle of Xango or a sachet of Zija in each of your hands this morning? Only you can show us your value. Only you can show us your value. Welcome aboard the Natural Health Revolution. Come and join us. Catch this wave and take it to the next level. Ride this wave just like a postage stamp. Ride this envelope to its final destination. Join us today and live your best life now. Live the life unlimited.
Wow, Dr. Edwards. I'm blown away, and so is everyone else, and we're still recording. And first of all, on behalf of everyone listening now or watching the recording, thank you for such an incredible, thorough explanation. And from a health perspective, especially at my age, anybody who wants to live longer, healthier, it's never too late to begin. And if you're young, in your 20s, if you start now, then you truly, truly will age gracefully. But from a business perspective, look at the lives we're going to touch, because that's what we do. We offer hope, HOPE, not only for better health, but for what Eddie and I call financial peace of mind. And we have a new story now. We have a story that talks about the two most powerful botanicals on the market, both category creators, both having the absolute highest quality of manufacturing. Of course, we all know Xango juice is patented, made by Wild Flavors, which is the premier manufacturer in the world. And then now you've got Moringa, manufactured by Pharmatex, again, certified pharmaceutical grade. So we have a story to tell. And if you go to milliondollarmessage.com, if somebody could put that in the chat window for me, milliondollarmessage.com, Colleen and I have been summarizing everything that's critically important. And, of course, that's where we also post the recordings. So when you ask, is this recorded? Absolutely. Everything we do is recorded on the milliondollarmessage.com site. And to quote one of our just valued partners, I'm going to quote him now. Here we are, June. Kids are getting out of school. It's summertime. And I quote, if you don't work through the summer like your hair's on fire, the fall is going to be a bummer. So I'm going to say it again. If you don't work through the summer like your hair's on fire, the fall is going to be a bummer. We know about the upcoming events, and I'm going to end the recording now. And once again, everybody in the chat window, please say thank you, thank you, thank you to Dr. Edwards for such a great presentation that we will now be able to obviously use to share with others who also want to be a part of living longer, healthier, and the natural health revolution. So I'm going to stop the recording now. Hang on one second.